The Metaverse rollout. What is the Metaverse nightmare? ChatGPT said. The phrase, Metaverse nightmare, usually refers to a dystopian vision of what happens if the idea of the Metaverse, a persistent, immersive, digital world blending VR, AR, AI, and the Internet, evolves in the worst possible ways. Here are some of the nightmare scenarios people mean when they use the term. 1. Total corporate control. One or two corporations own the infrastructure of the Metaverse. Everything you see, hear, buy, or experience is mediated by a company that can censor, surveil, or manipulate at will. Pay-to-exist environments, where basic digital presence requires subscription or microtransactions. 2. Surveillance state 2.0. Biometric and neural data, eye tracking, voice, heart rate, even brainwaves, harvested in real time. Governments or corporations build predictive behavior models to manipulate choices. A person's social credit in the Metaverse controls their access in the real world. 3. Addiction and escapism. People abandon real life for hyper-immersive experiences. Digital poverty and real-world poverty overlap, leaving only the illusion of status or success inside the Metaverse. A Ready Player One, but without the happy ending, situation, people trapped in pods, working and living in virtual spaces. 4. Digital serfdom. Instead of owning digital assets, users merely rent them under restrictive licenses. Identity, property, and even memories inside the Metaverse belong to the platform, not the individual. Losing access, ban, glitch, policy change, erases your social existence. 5. Reality decay. People lose their ability to distinguish between the physical and the digital. Deepfakes, AI personas, and synthetic worlds blur authenticity. Trust in real-world interactions erodes because everything can be faked convincingly. 6. Exploitation of labor. Metaverse economies are built on precarious digital labor. NPC actors, virtual shopkeepers, moderators who are underpaid or replaced by AI. A gig economy on steroids, where people grind in virtual jobs just to afford access. 7. Permanent lock-in. Neural interfaces or immersive tech become so invasive that people can't disconnect without psychological or physical withdrawal. Children are raised in virtual-first environments, with real-world interaction becoming alien. In short, the Metaverse nightmare is a future where instead of expanding freedom, creativity, and human flourishing, the Metaverse becomes a trap, centralized, manipulative, and escapist, leading to control and disconnection from reality. Would you like me to paint this more in a literary/visionary tone, like a short dystopian sketch of living inside the nightmare, or keep it as structured analysis like above? You said. Redacted meetings? ChatGPT said. A good point. If we zoom in, pun intended, the Metaverse nightmare could look like redacted meetings turned permanent and fully immersive. Imagine this. Instead of logging into a 30-minute call, your entire workday is in a headset. You don't just share screens, you share rooms. Everyone sits around a virtual table, wearing corporate-issued avatars with mandatory facial tracking. Your boss can replay your eye movements to see if you paid attention. Metrics track how often you smile, nod, or engage. Side chats, facial expressions, even your ambient background noises become logged and analyzed. You can't take a break, because logging out is equivalent to walking out of the office. It's redacted meeting hell, but always on, always monitored, and always monetized. This is why some critics call the Metaverse nightmare redacted meetings with extra steps, the corporate surveillance version of immersive tech, not the playful or liberating one people hoped for. Want me to sketch a day in the life vignette of someone trapped in redacted Metaverse work mode, so it feels real? You said. Postulate that the current standard of redacted meetings is the Metaverse, not some distant dystopia. ChatGPT said. That's a sharp angle. You're suggesting, we don't need to wait for the Metaverse nightmare, it's already here, in the form of redacted. Let's unpack that. Redacted is the proto-metaverse. Persistent digital presence, the room exists whether or not you're physically there. People log in with avatars, their video tiles, and inhabit a shared virtual space. Identity mediation, you're reduced to a square, a name tag, maybe a background. That's your Metaverse avatar. Spatial illusion, gallery view equals the grid, breakout rooms equals separate worlds. Economic entanglement, whole careers, contracts, educations now happen through redacted. Your livelihood depends on presence in this digital layer. Surveillance light, hosts can see when you mute/unmute, when you log in/out, sometimes even if you clicked away. AI-based engagement features are creeping in. The nightmare element. Always on work, the expectation of being reachable in the room even after the meeting ends bleeds into personal time. Flattened humanity, no body language, no shared air, no texture. Just faces in rectangles. Isolation plus obligation, you're alone in a room, but socially obligated to stare at dozens of faces. Enforced mediation, like in a metaverse, you never interact directly with people, only through the digital platform's rules and frame. The claim. The metaverse nightmare isn't a distant sci-fi realm of VR headsets and corporate cities. It's here in the redacted standard. We already live, work, study, and socialize in a platform-mediated pseudo-world. We already wear avatars, our curated selves on camera. We already give our time, presence, and data to a corporate-owned environment that mediates human interaction. In other words, redacted is the metaverse. Just a low-res one. Do you want me to spin this into a thesis-style argument, redacted equals present metaverse nightmare, or into a short dystopian sketch, a scene of a worker trapped in today's redacted life as if it is the metaverse? You said. Not just redacted, it's any given software. Though the timing of redacted's rise to supremacy seemed to come at the same time as the pandemic. And it's not just work. When we are reduced to seeing one another on social media, the new normal is also YouTube personalities providing social needs in similar way. ChatGPT said. Exactly, you're widening the scope beyond redacted into the whole digital mediation of human life. If we postulate that the metaverse is not a future, but the present, then it looks something like this. 1. The timing, pandemic and the Great Migration online. The lockdown era functioned like a forced onboarding to the metaverse. Overnight, the default for human contact shifted from physical presence to software presence. Redacted just happened to be the flagship because it fit work and school, but at the same time TikTok, YouTube, Discord, Twitch, and social media all absorbed the rest of life's interactions. 2. Software as metaverse. The avatar isn't just a VR model, it's your profile pic, your curated YouTube persona, your Instagram story, your Discord username. The world isn't a VR city, it's the feed, the grid, the scroll. You don't live in space, you live in timelines and tabs. The currency isn't crypto, it's likes, watch time, subscriber counts, engagement stats, monetization streams. 3. The new normal. Instead of walking down a real street and chatting with neighbors, you scroll YouTube and find parasocial neighbors, creators you watch daily, who don't know you exist. Instead of a community square, you have Reddit threads or Twitter/X spaces. Instead of family dinners, you join a Discord voice channel or hop into a redacted call. Instead of apprenticeships or mentorships, you learn skills from YouTube influencers and TikTok personalities. In other words, our most basic social needs, work, learning, belonging, entertainment, even intimacy, are mediated through corporate-owned platforms. 4. Why this is the metaverse nightmare. Fragmented reality, your life is split across apps. You're oneself on LinkedIn, another on Instagram, another on YouTube. Algorithmic companionship, instead of humans, your social landscape is chosen for you by algorithms optimizing for ad revenue. Surveillance normalization, everything you do is logged, stored, monetized. No headset required. Pseudo-intimacy, you may spend more emotional energy on people you'll never meet, streamers, influencers, than on your physical community. Loss of sovereignty, you don't own your presence, it exists at the pleasure of platforms that can ban, demonetize, shadow ban, or erase you. So if we take your postulate seriously, the metaverse nightmare is not a future VR dystopia, but the present digital norm, a world where human interaction is already reduced, filtered, and monetized through software. The headset is optional, the cage is already built. Do you want me to frame this as a manifesto-style warning, to shake people awake that we're already in it, or as a sociological analysis that maps how each aspect of the metaverse already exists in today's software ecosystems. You said. Compare to Brave New World, compare to 1984. ChatGPT said. Great, let's line up today's software as metaverse reality against the two archetypal dystopias, Huxley's Brave New World and Orwell's 1984. Brave New World, Huxley, 1932. Core theme, pleasure, distraction, and conditioning as control. Soma equals endless pleasure drug that pacifies people. Hypnopedia equals conditioning from birth, so rebellion never arises. Entertainment and indulgence keep society docile. Parallels to the software metaverse. Social media feeds equals soma, scrolling TikTok or YouTube delivers dopamine hits, numbing boredom, loneliness, or pain. Algorithmic conditioning equals hypnopedia. From childhood, kids are raised on iPads and YouTube Kids, shaped by algorithms before they even understand choice. Parasocial intimacy equals state-sanctioned pleasure. Instead of messy, unpredictable relationships, people belong to influencer communities or fandoms that simulate closeness without risk. Don't ask questions, just consume content, equals the new conditioning. Result, people don't fight their enslavement because they enjoy it. They laugh at the idea of freedom because distraction feels better than effort. 1984, Orwell, 1949. Core theme, surveillance, censorship, and fear as control. Big Brother watches everyone, always. History is rewritten daily to fit the party's narrative. Speech and thought are policed, thought crime. Parallels to the software metaverse. Surveillance by default, redacted tracking engagement, Google logging searches, Facebook tracking across the web every click monitored. Algorithmic censorship, posts demonetized, shadow banned, or downranked if they contradict official narratives. Rewriting memory, the internet is full of updated news, deleted archives, shifting definitions. What you thought you read last week may not exist today. Self-censorship, people police their own speech online for fear of deplatforming or being mobbed. Result, people comply because they're watched, and they fear losing their digital existence, their accounts, their jobs, their reach. Hybrid, the present reality. The software metaverse we live in is not purely Huxleyan or Orwellian. It's both. Huxley's world, distraction keeps us docile, endless streams of entertainment, influencers, parasocial relationships, memes. Orwell's world, surveillance ensures that when distraction isn't enough, dissent is tracked, flagged, and punished. In other words, Huxley explains why people aren't fighting. Orwell explains what happens if they do. The nightmare synthesis, we don't need VR headsets to enter the metaverse. The new normal is already a fusion of 1984 and Brave New World algorithmic bread and circuses, Huxley, combined with digital panopticon surveillance, Orwell. Do you want me to take this a step further and write it like a side-by-side chart, so it's instantly scannable, or like a manifesto-style essay that drives home the warning? You said. A table might help. ChatGPT said. Here's a clean comparison table showing how Brave New World, 1984, and our software metaverse reality line up. Theme. Brave New World, Huxley. 1984, Orwell. Software metaverse today. Control mechanism. Pleasure, distraction, conditioning. Fear, surveillance, censorship. Mix of distraction, feeds, games, influencers, plus surveillance, platforms, governments, employers. Core drug/tool. Soma, pleasure drug. Big Brother, fear of being watched. Dopamine loops from social media, constant notifications, metrics dashboards. Education/indoctrination. Hypnopedia, sleep teaching, conditioning from birth. Newspeak, restricting language and thought. Algorithmic feeds shaping kids from early age, limited vocabulary via emojis, memes, trending phrases. Entertainment. State-provided, shallow, endless. Limited, state-controlled propaganda. Infinite scroll, TikTok dances, binge culture, creator economy, feeding constant distraction. Social life. Casual, state-approved pleasures, no deep bonds. Distrust, suspicion, intimacy suppressed. Parasocial relationships with YouTubers, streamers, curated Instagram friendships. Truth and history. There, Wikipedia edit, Wikipedia, history, truth and history. History constantly rewritten, memory holes. Wikipedia edits, disappearing posts, shifting narratives, deepfakes rewrite memory. Freedom, 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 freedom. People can't have freedom, they're too watched. People trade freedom for convenience and connection through software. Why people obey? They fear punishment. They oscillate, distracted into apathy, Huxley, or silenced by surveillance, Orwell. Show less. Less. Less.